Well, we're here with another really exciting episode of Extraordinary Life. And you all know I try to bring you guys experts and people in the field, people who are really doing it, people who are living the life of being an entrepreneur, having families, and just doing amazing things in their homes and in their communities to help all of us out. And so today, guys, we have a familiar person. You have heard her. I'm sure you've seen her around, whether it be on social media or doing all kinds of things with one of our favorite people, Obama. Yes, President Obama, as well as President Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden. But we have her here today. Her name is Melanie Nix. Melanie is an entrepreneur. She is a speaker. She's a mom. She's a wife, and all-around leader. She has an amazing platform. But I'm going to let Melanie tell you all a little bit more about herself. Melanie, thank you for coming.
Sade, thank you for having me. It is always a great time when we get together and have conversations, because I think when we leave each other, we feel like we've solved the world's problems, or at least we're able to get through another day. I was watching a movie last night, and a woman was talking about what she wanted on her headstone, and one of the things she talked about was woman, mother, and so those are two things that because she said she was so proud of being those things. Those are two things I'm most proud of, being a wife, being a sister. But I think, you were talking about, I speak, I write, and I'm getting my hustle on. But one of the things you and I always talk about is self-care, and something that I'm seeing a lot is we are not doing any self-care. We are, spending time doing everything else. We've abandoned that, and we pay the consequence for it. I think sometimes, like during the recent months, I had a cough that wouldn't go away, and I think it's because I just wouldn't slow down and get in bed for a couple of days and just rest my body. And I say it all the time, my computer, sometimes I have to reboot, I have to unplug it, I have to reset it, I have to let it rest and recharge, but we don't apply that to ourselves. And we really have to be mindful of, the hustle is real, but rest and restoration and relaxation are also requirements in that hustle. So it's real.
I mean, that's interesting you mentioned that, but how do you find a balance, especially when you do have a multifaceted life? I mean, is it that, do you schedule time to do that? I mean, sometimes, especially when you kind of, when you enjoy your work, we talk about sometimes even, the life of an entrepreneur, sometimes work doesn't stop. There is no time clock. There is no bell that we punch it. Sometimes, work can be challenging. It's our passion at times, and it's easy to continue to work. I mean, it's easy to help the kid with that book log, but at the same time have that laptop open, or that tablet open, and still doing work. And so how do you find time to recharge and unplug? I mean, is it something that you're intentional about, or is it a routine?
So I think it's both, but I think there's one thing in my life that I am very intentional about, and it's running. So I become a post-cancer distance runner. So if I'm not training for a run, I'm just running for kind of physical health, because we know for sure that exercise helps reduce your risk of many diseases, including cancer, and for me, a recurrence of cancer. So I'm trying to exercise and be fit. But one of the things that I've done is that's a non-negotiable for me. So other things can fall by the wayside, but I'm going to get my run in at least 3 times a week. And so with that, it sometimes means I have to combine things. So sometimes I'll run while I'm listening to a webinar. So I'm running, but I'm still, I'm getting my physical fitness, I'm getting kind of my relaxation, but I'm also getting new information. During the 40 days of Lent, I was... a church that I've become fond of was doing prayer every morning at 6 a.m. I couldn't get to church, but they live streamed it. So what I did is I would run while I was listening to an hour of prayer. So sometimes it means you have to, combine things. Sometimes it means you might not get that total downtime. And that's important too, because you also have to have total downtime. But it just means combining things. So sometimes it means if you're going to meditate, sometimes I'm like, I'm telling my daughter, if you're going to sit in the room with me, you can. But right now I just have to have a couple quiet minutes. And we're bonding because you're here with me, but I just need some quiet time. And I love movies. So sometimes I'll stay up late and I'm like, I know there's a ton of things to do, but I'm going to watch my movie because that relaxes me. So, I don't think there's any perfect or one size fits all. I think you got to figure it out as you can. But for me, that one thing, that running is a non-negotiable.
So now how do you compare and contrast that with getting your grind on? I mean, we know that how it is, whether you're preparing for a presentation or even if you don't have a particular deadline, but just wanting to make sure, because again, as an entrepreneur, there isn't any one person per se that's kind of over us to say, hey, this has to be done, but we know our deadlines. And sometimes we kind of put on our own and kind of impose our own deadlines, but there is a grind and we have to keep it moving and keep pushing so we can kind of go to higher heights, whether it be research or benchmarking. So how do you kind of quiet the mind down?
It's hard. I think you said that because again, I can be laying in bed and I'm still, writing notes on a sticky pad near my bed, or, typing in my phone notes or things, reminders for the next day. But I think you have to just say to yourself, you have to make that a deadline too. Like by midnight, I'm going to turn it off, period. And I know for me, the hardest thing is being away from my phone, but sometimes I have to be away from my phone just to pull back and just be like, I'm not going to look at email. I'm not going to take any notes. I'm not going to review my calendar or whatever. So sometimes you just have to turn it off and say, today I'm going to turn it off at midnight. It might not be the same every day, because some days it might be I'm going to turn it off at 10 p.m. and I'm just going to go to bed. Some nights it's like I have a deadline. I can't turn it off until 12, but you have to do that. And again, I think for me, I'm learning more and more about the benefits of doing that, because I'm seeing what happens when you don't. What happens when you're just overwrought, when you filled your bucket too full with too much stuff and you can't manage and you become overwhelmed. So I've seen the bad side of it, so I'm starting to kind of have to remind myself of that. Yesterday, I was talking to someone and we were trying to schedule something, and I was like, oh, maybe I could fit it in. And I walked into my office, and my office just was piles and piles of paper, and I'm like, you can't. You have to absolutely say no, because you have to give some attention to reorganizing. And I always tell myself, when my office and things around me get organized, it means that I'm doing too many other things, and something on that list you got to prioritize. So there's something that has to be lower on that list, and always my family is going to be at the top of that list. So there's some other things. Again, the power of saying no. I was about to, sign up for something, and that was going to take time and energy, prep or whatever. And I was like, is the return going to be as great for me as it is if I sit down and get this office organized?
Wow, that's interesting. And that's actually going to lead us to our point. But no, I feel you on that, because so often quieting the mind down is a process for, not only myself, but I know for a lot of women that I speak to and I hear from. I'm going to flip this on its head. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to take this conversation into the business realm. And because we understand, like I mentioned before, the grind. And you talk about you didn't say the word vetting, but just making sure that the end result is going to be worth it, right? Mm-hmm. So many times now when you have people wanting to work with you and saying, hey, I got this best project and it's the best thing since sliced bread and all that. And of course, we know that everything that is gold, everything that's glitter is not gold. Looking at the opportunities you've had and some of the amazing organizations you've worked with, how do you kind of cut through a lot of the clutter? We see a lot online. Everybody's saying they do the same thing. We see it at conferences, and there's so many conferences you can, especially in this area we're in, the DC metropolitan area, the DMV. There's so many conferences. You can be here, you can be there, and you could literally be at multiple conferences per day without even blinking. But every opportunity may not be for you. How would you advise someone to be focused, laser focused on what they're doing, and to be authentic to what they're doing, and not kind of taking that trap being caught in the trap where, you want to do things that you see other like companies doing or like business people doing, and really staying focused on your mission for your business.
So I think that's a good thing. I think one of the things is to be clear on what your mission is. And I think sometimes in the past I haven't necessarily been clear. I've just been like, oh, if it's an opportunity for me to, promote whatever I'm doing, that's a great thing. But I'm like, be clear on your mission. But one of the things, and I've been working on this probably for over a year, and I'm almost at the point where I'm done. I'm just finishing developing my own playbook. And in that playbook, I actually have checklists with criteria. Because I did find myself in situations, and my husband and I were talking about that. He was like, you seem sometimes so busy, but then at the end of the day, you're telling me, that really didn't give me what I thought I was going to get. So I started developing checklists and criteria so that anything that is going to consume resources, time, money, energy, anything, I write down what I want that return to be. And then I go through a set of questions. And if it doesn't meet that, then I have to say no, or I have to figure out, is there another way we can do it? I mean, and like you say, there's so many things you can be pulled into, and sometimes it's a matter of saying, well, do I actually physically have to be there? Or is it something I can Skype into or stream? But again, I was looking at the checklist, and then I have to say to myself, you've gone down your checklist, look at it. If it doesn't meet your criteria, and you have to determine, sometimes it may be different for different events, but what is the least thing that will be acceptable to you? And if you're not going to come away with, a new speaking opportunity, a new contact, an opportunity maybe to sell your products, and obviously tops on the list is an opportunity for you to get paid. But you have to look at those things, and that's what I'm starting to do now, because every opportunity I don't look at as one that has to be a financially rewarding or an income generating opportunity, but it has to be some benefit that plays into my overall strategy.
Wow, that's amazing, because it's easy to really fall in that trap. And I kind of have developed, not formally developed, kind of the same system. And I kind of asked myself, Sade, what is your, I guess, my motive in going? Is it, do I want to meet a particular person? Okay, fine. They're going to be there in the morning or the afternoon. And I've seen this, I've experienced it myself, and I've also seen this in a few clients who've shared with me some things. And I asked them, I say, well, sometimes, we kind of want to feel important. We want to be up in the place. We want to take our selfie. We want to prove that we've been there. But I look at it as some of my mentors afar. I don't see Oprah posting pictures of things. She's doing a meeting. Maybe she's holding the meeting herself, or, just the idea of not just hopping all these different things and kind of superficially being involved. I feel like if there isn't a person that can introduce me to somebody that can have some kind of direct access with either the event planners or some of the stakeholders, why am I there? I mean, is it just for a plate of food? I mean, I can make my own food at home. I can go out to my, a restaurant if I want to, but sometimes the glitz and the glam and the whole quick microwave social media, wanting to take a photo and all of that. And there are times where I've been places I'm like, you know what? I'm not taking any photos. I just want to be here. Maybe kind of save a few mementos for my own self, but like not for the purpose of posting. Not everything should be posted, and it's just this mentality that we've developed over time, where we want to prove to the people we were in high school with that, hey, I'm important. And we go to these places that are really pretty and really glitzy and take our photos and all of that, but what do we come away with? We feel important, but what is it done for us? Like you said, looking at the gas you've spent, or the car fare, or whatever it is to get there. And I've learned that it's very expensive to do that. You've wasted an entire day, perhaps, and for a couple of pictures. So for you want some likes, or some mentions, or some hearts, or what have you. And I have said to myself, I've had to become much more disciplined in these in this last maybe 5 years or even a decade of really asking myself, why am I here? Why do I want to go? Is this really going to be beneficial for me? And does this really help my mission? Like, is there somebody that I need to speak with or not? What have you? And this is go in, you mentioned your criteria. And that's really, really important, especially now. Just to be authentic to the process and make sure that we are truly on our grind. It's like, we work on the business, and we also are working in the business. And so I'm always thinking, how will this work for the business? Where am I at the same place I was last month? Is the content done? Have things been updated and what have you? Because people are looking. Maybe take that time to update the website or, do some meaningful posts and some engagement, email people back. A lot of power is in the email too. Really responding back to the emails, having a conversation, maybe setting up a meaningful lunch or coffee is so valuable.
And I think, what you said is true, because I've been places where I have been so focused, like, ooh, it would be really great for me to get this picture with a certain person and just show that I'm here and that I'm in the mix. But again, been so focused on getting that picture that I'm like, there was 10 nuggets that just got dropped at this conference and I missed them because I'm sitting here scanning the room, trying to find that person and make sure I can get to them. And honestly, if you flip that and do like what you said, follow up with your emails, schedule your lunches, do all of your things, that people will be looking to post with you. So you won't have to be running around the conference trying to find people. Those celebrities will be looking for you and post your picture and get you more, publicity than you ever thought. Right. Because again, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're being focused. But again, it's easy. And the other thing that you were talking about is the time and being able to really, really be real about your time is especially important, as you say, because we're mothers. Because I will come home with a plan of what I'm going to do, and then somebody drops on me, I need 10 things for a project that's due tomorrow. So in the midst of what I thought I was going to do, that PowerPoint that I thought I was going to get finished, now I'm out at the store, and like I know, the first store generally doesn't have it, so you got to make a run around time. Absolutely. So I have to think about that when I'm scheduling myself for other things. Like, it's time that I could be using to work on my stuff, especially during times when I know my kids are at school, or I know that that's my dedicated office time. I'm like, is this the right time for me to be out at this luncheon? And sometimes it is, but sometimes, I think, I want to go because I really want to meet this person. Look on LinkedIn. See who I know who knows that person, who might be able to schedule a coffee. And then that might even, achieve my goal quicker, faster, better than it would be to go to a lunch, pay the money, the gas, the parking, and everything else that comes with that. And then it's a crapshoot. I may or may not get to that person.
And think about it, on the flip note, when people have kind of wanted to run up to you just for a selfie, not for like a handshake and a conversation. When's the last time you checked with that person and went to work with that person?
Right.
I mean, sometimes I'm like, okay, who is this person? They're putting this camera in front of your face, wanting a picture with you. Have you called them to work with them?
I don't know them, won't see them ever again, won't follow up with them, and that's that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, so, what do you, and sometimes, let's be honest, you kind of think, oh my, this person... It's weird because if you have a big ego, you think, oh, wow, I'm so important and they want to talk to me. But on the other hand, and this is what I ask myself as well, to check my motive, it's like you're kind of stealing their persona because you want a picture to assume that, okay, I know this person, I'll work with them. But then, do you buy their product? Do you really care about this person? Right. You just want to kind of pimp them in a way. And I think it's a little hollow. And so they know that too.
So, yeah.
So you stand in line and get your picture.
Right. So, yeah, it really is about managing all those things. I mean, and again, that goes into, what we're talking about, the playbook, your social media strategy. What is your strategy? Is your strategy just about posting pictures, with celebrities, or is your strategy about posting information that's going to be useful to your audience? And I've had to kind of redefine what that means, because lately more of my pictures recently have been about me running, because again, I want to speak to people about the power and the benefit of exercising. So, it used to be, about, I'm at this event or this event, but a lot recently has changed because again, I'm like, stay true to what your core mission is. And you're trying to talk about exercise. You're trying to talk about how to kind of reduce your risk of disease or your risk of recurrence. So be on that. And again, those opportunities will come because there may be opportunities to be around people who are sharing the same message. But again, like you say, it's all about, being on mission every day.
Wow. That's major. Wow. Melanie, you have been so helpful to us. What are some of the things we can look forward to? Any projects you have coming this year, or, how can we learn more about you? Where can we find you?
So, the website for Breast Cancer Comfort Site is www.breastcancercomfortsite.com, and then all my social is on there. But upcoming in June, it is June 3rd, Sunday, June 3rd, I'm going to be the keynote speaker for National Cancer Survivors Day at Anne Arundel Medical Center. So I'm really looking forward to that, sharing some stories of survival with other survivors and celebrating with them. National Cancer Survivors Day is every first Sunday in June, so I'm excited about that. So looking forward to that. So you'll hear more about that as I get all the details and times. I'll share it with you, Sade, so you can share that with your audience.
Wow, thank you so much, Melanie. Well, Melanie, again, have an amazing afternoon. I know that me and you both have little people that we'll be seeing in a little bit. Guys, this has been great as usual. Feel free to visit our website at www.thegumnetwork.com for more information on this podcast as well as our upcoming shows. We are so happy that you've taken this time to join us, and we will see you all on the flip side.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.